The first thing that you notice is there are no spoilers deployed. The pilot is trying to force it down and pitches over, speeding up, which makes the problem worse. He's way too fast at the time of touchdown, so he bounces, setting up a series of pilot-induced oscillations, PIOs. Now, he's off the runway in the dirt. He keeps the wings level, which is important, but he still has not deployed the spoilers. On a Grobe 103, the wheel brake is attached to the end of the spoilers. He's finally starting to slow down, but before he can, he hits the group of bushes, does a 90-degree ground loop to the right, and the glider comes to rest. Fortunately, the pilot is safe and the glider can be recovered. But this happens to new and experienced pilots alike when they become task saturated, when they become overwhelmed by a long or a difficult flight. They forget basic things like to perform checklists and how to use pitch and spoiler to come down and land safely. How do you make sure a parachute can be used when you're going to go soaring? Well, depending on what kind of gliding you're going to do, you may either want or be required to use a parachute. If you're doing a soaring competition, that you'll be required to wear a parachute, or aerobatics. The thing that you need to realize with a parachute is that it's got 2 leg straps. It's got a strap that goes across your chest. These leg straps create a little seat so that way you can sit on it if you have to bail out. To verify that the parachute has been properly inspected, you open up the little flap at the bottom and you'll pull out an inspection card to verify that the glider parachute has been inspected within the last 180 days. This one has been inspected on July 26th, 2025. So that's definitely within the last 180 days. And you want to look for that little inspection card that'll be underneath the flap inside of a little pocket inside of your parachute. Let's not go to Mount Lemon?
No.
Okay. Grayson, look at me, smile.
Cheese. Cheese.
Very good. Where can I learn to fly gliders? Well, that's easy. Just start here on the Soaring Society of America's homepage. Scroll down to Where to Fly. Then scroll down to Map of All Locations. You'll see a map of the entire United States with all the different soaring clubs. Zoom in to where you live and click on the sailplane. This one, outside of Kansas City, Missouri, is for the Midwestern Soaring Association. You'll see contact information, their website, a little history about the club, and all the different types of gliders that they have available for club members. Go ahead, contact your nearest club, and get flying today. Let me show you a simple tool that makes for world champion glider pilots. Here on the Vario, you have the MacCready ring. This tells you the speed that you're supposed to fly. If you think it's going to be, if you expect a stronger soaring day, we point the arrow to how strong we think our thermals are going to be. Are we going to have a 3-knot day, of 3-knot thermals, a 2-knot day for weaker thermals, or a 4-knot day, or even higher. When we've set our MacCready ring, now we look not just at the inner scale for how fast we're going up, but we also look at where the arrow on the variometer is pointing to see what speed we should fly. If we're on a 3-knot day and we're in still air at 0, if we look at the outside of the ring, we should actually be going 60 knots. If instead we're in sync, we should actually speed up. If we're in 2 knots of sync downward, we should be going 70. If we're in 5 knots down, we should be going 80. Above that 3 knot, we should take any thermals that are 3 knots or stronger. This is where we should stop. One of the oldest and simplest instruments in a glider is the yaw string. This goes all the way back to the Wright brothers. And it shows which way the wind is flowing over the glider. If I'm flying straight into the wind and using the right amount of rudder, it will be straight back, which is where I want it almost all the time. If on the other hand, the wind is actually coming from my left side over the glider, it will be pointed off to the right, in which case the rule is step on the tape. The tape is off to the left, so I step on the tape and it brings the yaw string straight. If on the other hand, the wind is coming from the right side, the string will be blown off to the left. And again, the rule is always step on the tape. So I step on my right rudder and it'll move the yaw string back to the center again. Green, white, green, white. What does it mean if the rotating beacon at the airport is on during the day? Well, it means that the local weather is below VFR minimums. Teddy, what do you think about VORs? You drive along the freeway and you ask yourself, what's this giant white sombrero building doing off to the side of the road? That's a VOR station. These are a series of radio beacons that aircraft use to navigate around the country. And while GPS is quickly becoming the primary way to fly, this network of VOR stations will still remain the backbone of navigation for decades to come. In addition, VOR questions still appear on FAA written exams. How do you set your altimeter at a glider club? At a glider club, we set our altimeter to the field elevation. And I know the elevation here is 2,100 feet. So I turn the knob until my altimeter reads 2,000 with the small hand and 100 feet with the large hand. And we find the field elevation by looking at the sectional chart, where we see that Altiero is at 2,100 feet and its longest runway is 5,100 feet long. What is there writing here on the runway? Airports often have the name of the airport written on a taxiway or runway in letters large enough that they can be seen by a plane flying overhead. They'll also have the radio frequency on the ground used to communicate with pilots in the area, so they can call up at an unfamiliar airport, know the name, and who to talk to see if it's clear to land. I'm at El Tiro Glider Port, home of the Tucson Glider Club. This is my home club and where I learned to fly gliders. I consider this to be my own personal little slice of heaven.
El Tiro just got a new clubhouse this year, but this glider port has been around since World War II when it was used as a pilot training facility. You can lounge around, get something to eat, or practice in our brand new sim room.
We have a meeting room where we can do pilot briefings. We have an operations room where we keep our glider batteries and tow ropes. And we also have an instructor's room where you can receive instruction. It's important to remember with your nav lights which color is on which side, and also how that affects the right-of-way rules for which airplane is allowed to go first. On the right side of the airplane, you have your green light. Green has 5 letters, and right has 5 letters in it also. And for right-of-way, green means go. If you see the green light, that means you have the right-of-way and you can go. The red light is on the left wingtip. Red is the short word with only 3 letters, and left is the short word with only 4 letters. Red means stop. If you see another aircraft and you're converging with them and you see the red light, stop. You do not have the right of way. To do a positive control check, you need 2 people. One person to be on the controls of the glider and the other person to be actually holding the controls to make sure they're attached properly. Haley's going to assist me. And one common trick is to hold up your thumb on the stick so that way it points at the control surface that's moving upward. We start out at the left wing tip so we can check the ailerons. We'll go around in a complete circle around the glider. Okay, left turn, and it should come up just like Haley's thumb is pointed up. I'll give it a little wiggle to make sure it's attached properly. Right turn. Okay, give it a wiggle. Neutral. Spoilers open. Okay, they should come open. Spoilers come down. I'm going to gently hold it to come down, and I'll let go. They should lock. Okay. On the tail, pitch up. Give it a wiggle. Hold it. Pitch down. Give it a wiggle. Neutral. Left rudder. Give it a wiggle. Right rudder. Give it a wiggle. Trim forward. Trim back. Neutral. Spoilers open. Spoilers closed. Let go. Right turn. Give it a wiggle. Left turn. Give it a wiggle. Neutral. Gliders are not supposed to flap their wings like a bird. This is an example of flutter, an incredibly dangerous feedback loop caused by excessive speed and the very natural bendiness of the aircraft structure. But it will become more and more violent the faster you go. This can happen when the never exceed speed, VNE, or the glider's redline airspeed is exceeded. At this point, you're not pushing the glider's envelope. You're flying outside of it. This violent twisting and bending can damage the aircraft, or if it continues, it could rip the wings right off. If this happens to you in flight, reduce speed by gently easing back on the stick, assess the situation, land, and have a licensed mechanic inspect the glider before its next flight.
Ever wonder how one of these gets a glider in the air? This little guy is called a tow plane, and he is warming up to take a glider up in the air. Gliders do not have their own built-in engines, and so they need a little tow plane with an engine to take them up in the air. The way that they do this, if you can see the little tow rope that he's carrying behind him, is a tow rope attached to the glider. This yellow tow rope he carries behind him is typically 200 to 300 feet long. Once the tow rope is attached, the tow plane takes off, and soon the glider is in the air. So have you? What am I doing?
So Haley is turning the propeller, which is driving oil from the oil sump, because this is a dry sump engine, and so there's the oil container that holds it is external to the engine, and Haley right now is driving oil from that external. By turning the propeller, Haley's is using the engine as a pump, and it's pumping oil into the engine from the external oil canister right now.
Want to get up close so you can hear the burp? Getting close to a burp, it's like burping a baby.
So we're listening. There is the open engine compartment, and the oil cap is off right now. And as she turns it, she's driving oil into the engine, and once she's turned it enough, we'll hear a gurgling sound. That's the sound you want to hear, and now you've burped the engine. Okay, now Haley can measure the oil quantity properly, just to make sure there is enough oil inside of there. Okay, and don't lift it out far because you don't want to drip a bunch of oil. But
oh, there's tons of oil in there. Look at that.
Yep. Okay.
All the way to the top.
It goes to the top mark on there, so that's good.
We're good.
Yep, good.
There was like nobody out here, so we had somebody take off like 12, 18.
Grab, canopy, air brakes, check complete, air crew lock, air hook up. Confirm good rope. Open, close, check, close, nose fully forward. Let's go.
What should we have for you, buddy?
I was holding it level. Yeah, we started doing. That's fine. I was trying to time. Yeah. I don't mind you guys.
The long grass isn't good,
But when the wing drops, the glider should have released before the wing even touched the ground. What follows is a classic cartwheel that wrecks the glider and injures the occupants. Winch launches happen fast, so you have to be ready to react immediately if something doesn't look right. You can see from the video that the crew never even pulled the release knob. It was the automatic back release that finally let the cable go because the glider was literally turned around backwards. The proper technique is to have your right hand on the stick and your left hand on the release knob. This saves precious seconds because when the aircraft starts moving sideways, you're getting thrown around inside the glider and may not be able to grab or even find the release, even though it's right in front of you. Winch launch is safe and really fun, but you have to use the proper technique. Had they been using the proper technique, they would have released the moment things started to go wrong, and this serious accident would have just been a minor inconvenience while they set up for another launch.
Hi, this is Jeff. I'm at Lake Elsinore in California, or as you might see it on the sectional chart, Charlie Alpha 89er, home of the Lake Elsinore Soaring Club, which you can see their fleet behind me, mostly made up of Schweitzers, both tube and fabric and metal gliders. Still a mainstay of the training gliders that you find anywhere in the United States. It's located right here on Lake Elsinore, California. You got a pair of dirt strips right on the edge of the lake here. You can see the strips behind me leading out to the lake. Significant amount of jump activity in addition to the glider activity. Oftentimes you'll find that airports have shared usage amongst a bunch of different users, and Lake Elsinore is no different. Lovely little club here at Lake Elsinore, California. Jeff again at Lake Elsinore, and behind me we have one of two common types of wind indicators. Just over my shoulder there you've got a tetrahedron, sometimes just called a wind indicator, and off in the other side, to the other side, you got a wind sock. Let's go check them out and see what they show us. Jeff here, and I'm at the Tucson Soaring Club, which is my home club where I've been a member for many years. Behind me is a segmented circle with a tetrahedron in the middle. How does a segmented circle work? You'll see this at almost every general aviation airport in some fashion. They're either painted on the ground or they are marked here with white colored tires. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what it's telling us. The segmented circle shows which way aircraft should make traffic patterns in order to land at this airport. If they're landing towards the south, right here, they should go their base leg and then should make left traffic to land at this airport going to the south. Whereas off over there, they actually have to make a right turn to land towards the east. In the center of the segmented circle is almost always some kind of wind indicator, whether it's a tetrahedron or a windsock. Combining that, you now know which way the wind is coming and which way you should land. The tetrahedron is pointing into the wind, so we should land into the wind at all times if possible. Therefore, I should come out, I should make left traffic and land towards the west. Here's the wind indicator at Lake Elsinore, a tetrahedron. As you can see, it's free spinning, and a tetrahedron is very large and easy to see, but it doesn't tell you anything about wind speed. And on a tetrahedron, remember, the arrow, the direction it points is into the wind. It points into the wind, which is opposite of what a windsock does. And it's just on a pivot point, and it just freely spins and points always into the wind. And here is one of the windsocks on field here at Lake Elsinore. And a windsock tells you both about the wind speed and direction. Remember, the wind will blow with the direction of the wind as opposed to the tetrahedron. And then a windsock is made so that way it is weighted along the length of the windsock. And so when it's going down straight, obviously the wind is 0. But when it's out, usually most windsocks are calibrated to 15 knots. So a windsock will tell you both speed and direction of the wind, whereas a tetrahedron will tell you just the direction. On the back of our tow plane, we have a toss tow release mechanism. These have been replacing the Schweitzer ones that are pretty common throughout America. The Schweitzer tow release mechanisms had a problem where it was possible that if the glider was pulling upward, that the tow plane could not release, and this led to a number of fatal accidents where the tow plane was pulled from behind and it went straight into the ground because of it. The toss tow release mechanism could be released from any angle, and it's controlled by the tow pilot up front, and all you have to do is just release. Release! And that's how it works. Behind me we have a compass rose that's been painted on the tarmac here at Marana Regional Airport recently, just this year in fact, by our local chapter of the 99s, the International Flying Organization for Women, started by Amelia Earhart. You can use these to know which direction is north as you fly over them, or on the ground you can also use them to help calibrate your compass or your other navigational instruments. Let's take a closer look. So here's the compass rose up close. I'll walk towards it. And as you can see, the logo in the center, 99 for the 99s. Amelia Earhart originally started the 99s with 99 women, and so therefore called it the 99s. And that 99's logo is always aligned with north here. You could put your aircraft right in the center there and be able to calibrate your compass to develop, to figure out what your compass deviation card should say as you park your airplane or glider here. And you can also use it as you're flying overhead to know which way is north. A lot of these got painted over during World War II to not give Japanese aircraft any way to navigate along the US. And since then, the 99s have been refreshing or repainting compass roses all over the United States. And we're very grateful to them for doing that. Behind me, we have a common everyday stop sign. What does this have to do with runway markings? A lot, actually. The FAA is trying to teach you something with the colors and the format they use for their runway markings. Look at it behind me. You've got a red background, which tells you stop, and white lettering. That's a stop sign. Stop. Look both ways before crossing the street. So here's your runway heading sign. And it shows you exactly where the runway starts. And look at the colors on it. Red background with white lettering. Just like the stop sign that you're used to seeing. It's telling you stop and look both ways before crossing the street. Behind me is the Crooked Creek Airport, home of the North Carolina Soaring Association. Many different glider clubs are built around these gorgeous little strips and out-of-the-way places where time just seems to slow down. It still has everything you need, from a windsock to a clubhouse and a hangar. Glider pilots take off downhill behind me, and then when it's time to land, they come back the other direction, and then they land up the hill behind me. Let me show you some other parts of this. Behind me we have the main hangar for the North Carolina Soaring Association. We've got their tow plane, a Call Air, old crop duster, commonly used for towing gliders now. We also have some of their gliders, including a two-place Schweitzer and a Blahnik L33 Solo, single place that students can graduate to. Again, those Schweitzers are good primary gliders. They're tough, rugged, and they teach all the things you need to know to become a competent and capable pilot. In addition to the 2-seat training gliders, the club members also have single-seat Schweitzers that you can they can graduate to fly themselves and to do longer distance flights, as well as a Cirrus, as well as a Duster. So that way people can fly by themselves after they've gone solo and then also gotten their private certificate. Just a beautiful place nestled in the forests of North Carolina. Here we have a dash line and a solid line on a road. What does that teach us about hold short lines? A lot. We can cross, the color is still yellow, we can cross on the dash sign, but we may not cross on the solid line, just like on a runway hold short marking. And here we have the hold short line before a runway, okay? Dash lines on one side, solid lines on the other, just like the roadway center markers that we're used to. The dash lines say you can cross this side. The solid lines are telling you you can't cross this line. This is how the FAA is trying to help you out. They're trying to remind you of things you've seen before on roads many times.